Please do not scroll down, do not close this window, do not touch the screen. I need you to understand something crucial before you hear a single word more. The fact that you are listening to my voice at this very instant, on this specific day, with the exact state of mind you have right now, is a mathematical impossibility if attributed to luck. Think about it. There are billions of videos on the internet. There are millions of hours of content being uploaded every minute, an infinite ocean of noise and distraction. And among all that chaos, the algorithm has placed this title before your eyes, and your finger has decided to click. Do you really believe it is a coincidence? Do you really believe it is just a computer code from YouTube or TikTok doing its job? Let me tell you the truth. The social media algorithm is only an employee of the algorithm of divinity. In metaphysics, coincidences do not exist. Only synchronicities exist. Carl Jung knew it, the ancient alchemists knew it. And deep down, even though your logical mind tries to deny it, you know it too. This audiobook has found you because you have called it. Perhaps you did not do it with words. Perhaps you did not say out loud, "I want an answer." But your soul has been emitting a frequency. You have been sending a radio signal to the universe asking for change, asking for a way out of the labyrinth in which you feel trapped, asking for a sign that there is something more than working, paying bills, and sleeping. You have been vibrating at the frequency of the search, and by the law of resonance, the universe has had no choice but to send you this material as a direct response to your request. Therefore, this is not just another video to pass the time. This is a divine appointment. It is a meeting agreed upon between your current consciousness, which feels small and lost, and your future potential, which is immense and free. If you are here, it is because you are already ready. As the old Hermetic proverb says, when the ear is capable of hearing, then come the lips that are to fill them with wisdom. Your ears are ready. Your vibration has opened the door. What you are about to hear next is not empty theory. It is a navigation map to understand the hidden language of your own life. We are going to talk about why what happens to you happens, about why you remain tied to invisible chains, about why you feel like an eagle living in a chicken coop. But I warn you, once you cross this threshold, once you understand the laws, we are going to reveal through these ancient stories. You will not be able to go back to sleep. Ignorance is a comfortable cage, but a cage nonetheless. Knowledge is the open sky, and the sky brings vertigo. The responsibility of knowing that you have attracted this is enormous, but it is also the key to your freedom. Breathe deeply. If this message found you, it is for a reason. And the reason is that your time to awaken has arrived. Chapter 1. Collective Hypnosis, the Awakening of the Eagle. Human society operates under a spell. It is not a poetic metaphor, it is a clinical description. The vast majority of the population lives in a state of hypnotic trance, executing automatic programs that were installed in their minds before they had the use of reason. They get up, eat, work, obey, entertain themselves, sleep, repeat. It is the cycle of the human farm. You have felt this. That is why you are here. You have felt that strange itch at the back of your neck, that discomfort in your stomach on Sunday afternoons, that feeling that the script of your life was not written by you. You feel like an actor who has been pushed onto the stage of a play you haven't rehearsed. You are forced to say lines you don't feel. That feeling is not depression. It is not anxiety. It is not madness. That feeling is your soul screaming. It is the part of you that has not been hypnotized, hitting the bars of the mental cage. In this first chapter, we are going to break the first seal. We are going to talk about who you really are. We will talk about who they have made you believe you are. We are going to talk about the largest identity scam in history. And to understand it, I'm not going to give you a complex scientific theory. I am going to tell you a story. An ancient story, passed down by Sufi and Vedantic masters, which contains the genetic key to your awakening. The parable of the lost egg. A long time ago, in the high peaks of an unexplored mountain range, lived a community of golden eagles. They were majestic creatures, masters of the wind, capable of looking at the sun without blinking. One day, a terrible storm shook the mountain. The wind roared with demonic force, uprooting trees and moving rocks. During the chaos, an egg rolled out of a nest located on the highest peak. The egg fell. It rolled down the mountain, hitting roots, bouncing off moss, descending hundreds of meters until, miraculously intact, it landed in the valley. It landed softly in the middle of a chicken coop. It was an ordinary farm. The chickens, ground creatures, limited and fearful, saw the strange egg. "It's a bit big," they said. "It has a weird color." But the leading hen's maternal instinct was stronger than her curiosity. She decided to hatch it. An egg is an egg, she thought, and a life is a life. So the hen sat on the eagle egg. She gave it her warmth. She transmitted her vibration to it. Weeks passed, and finally the shell broke. Out came a strange creature. It had piercing golden eyes, a curved beak, and claws disproportionately large for a chick. But the creature, upon opening its eyes, first saw the hen, and the first thing it heard was the clucking. "Mama," thought the little eagle. And so the tragedy began. The eagle grew up believing with absolute certainty that it was a chicken. No one told it otherwise. Its environment defined it. It learned to walk hunched over. It learned to peck the ground, looking for worms and corn. It learned to cluck, emitting a clumsy and guttural sound that did not fit its throat. It never tried to fly. Why? The chickens had taught it that flying is dangerous, that the sky is an empty and terrifying place, that safety is on the ground, inside the fence, where the farmer throws the grain. The eagle chicken lived for years like this. Sometimes it felt a strange vibration in its wings. They were huge wings. They were wings with a 2-meter wingspan, which it dragged through the dust of the yard. Sometimes it would spread them a little and feel the wind pushing it, whispering secrets of heights and freedom. But immediately, the other chickens would mock it. "Look how clumsy it is. You take up too much space. Close those things and look for worms." And the eagle, ashamed of its greatness, would fold its wings and look at the ground again. It felt defective. It felt like a bad chicken. One day, already old, the eagle chicken saw a dark shadow pass over the yard. It looked up in fear. High above, in the infinite blue, it saw an imposing figure. A golden eagle floated on the thermal currents. It did not flap. It simply let itself be carried, majestic, powerful, sovereign. It was the queen of the sky. The ground eagle felt a jolt in its heart, a nostalgia for something it had never lived. "Who is that?" it asked with a trembling voice to its companion chicken. The old hen didn't even look up. She kept pecking the ground and said, "That is the king of birds. It is an eagle. It belongs to the sky. We are chickens. We belong to the ground. Don't look. Don't dream. You will never be like him." The ground eagle lowered its head. "You are right," it thought. "I'm just a weird and deformed chicken." And so the eagle went back to pecking worms. And it died. It died believing it was a chicken. It lived a small, fearful, and limited life, having on its back the biological equipment necessary to touch the clouds. It never knew who it was. Decoding the myth, you are the egg. This story is not about birds. This story is your biography. You are the egg that fell from the mountain. Your origin is not terrestrial. It is divine. You are pure, infinite, creative, and eternal consciousness. But you fell into matter. You were born into a physical body in a specific time in a specific family. You landed in the chicken coop. What is the chicken coop? The chicken coop is society. It is culture. It is the educational system. It is the matrix. It is an environment designed for security, not for flight. An environment where obedience, uniformity, and repetition are rewarded. Since you were a child, the chickens around you taught you to be a chicken. They did it with love. They did not do it out of malice. The mother hen loved the eaglet, but a chicken's love teaches fear. They told you, "Don't dream so high, you're going to fall. Look for a steady job. Money is hard to come by. Be realistic. Don't draw attention to yourself." Those phrases were the conditioning. They were the lessons on how to peck the ground. You learned to imitate. You learned to walk hunched over so as not to stand out. You learned to hide your wings because when you opened them, you bothered others. You became a good person, a functional citizen. But inside, you are dying. The pain of folded wings. Do you know why you suffer? Do you know why you have anxiety? Anxiety is the energy of your wings trying to open in a space that is too small. Depression is the result of pretending to be someone you are not for too long. It is the exhaustion of acting a character that is too small for you. You are not sick. You are domesticated. Your suffering does not come from lacking something. It comes from having too much of something. You have too many wings and not enough sky. You have been trying to fit into a mold that was not made for you. You have been measuring your success with the chicken's yardstick. Do I have enough corn? Do I have a good corner in the yard? While your soul asks you, when are we going to fly? The tragedy of most human beings is that they die like the eagle in the story, looking at the ground, believing that their mediocrity is their nature. They believe that life is just this way. They believe that suffering is normal. They believe that being a victim of circumstances is all there is. That is collective hypnosis. It is a pact of silence where we all agree to pretend we are limited. If someone tries to fly, the other chickens get scared. Get down from there. You're going to kill yourself. You think you're better than us. The chicken's attack is not hate. It is panic. If you fly, you prove to them that they could do it too, and that forces them to face their own cowardice. Therefore, the mediocre always try to clip the dreamer's wings, not to protect the dreamer, but to protect their own comfort on the ground. The awakening, the naturalist. But the story has an alternative ending, an ending that you can choose to write today. In some versions of this parable, a character appears, the naturalist. A man who loves birds passes by the farm and sees the eagle pecking corn. He stops, horrified and fascinated. "Mr. Farmer," he says, "why is that eagle behaving like a chicken?" "It's no longer an eagle," the farmer replies. "I've given it chicken food. I've raised it as a chicken. It no longer knows how to fly. It's a big chicken." The naturalist shakes his head. "No, it has the heart of an eagle. The instinct is there. It is only asleep." The naturalist enters the yard, takes the eagle in his arms and whispers, "You belong to the sky, not to the earth. Fly!" But the eagle is afraid. It sees the chickens eating corn below. It feels safe there, and it jumps from the man's arms to return to pecking the ground. The farmer laughs. "See? I told you." But the naturalist does not give up. The next day he takes the eagle to the roof of the barn. "You are an eagle. Open your wings and fly." The eagle trembles. Vertigo paralyzes it. It jumps back to the safety of the yard. On the third day, the naturalist knows he cannot be gentle. He takes the eagle out of the farm. He takes it far away. He climbs a high mountain. The air is cold there. There is no corn. There are no fences. Only the abyss and the sky. The eagle is terrified. The man lifts it toward the sun. "You are an eagle. You belong to the sun. Fly or die." And he throws it into the void. The eagle falls. It falls like a stone. Fear consumes it. It sees the rocks approaching. And in that moment of absolute terror where the comfort of the yard no longer exists, the ancient instinct awakens. It is not a mental decision. It is a cellular memory. Its wings open. Whoosh! The wind hits the feathers. Suddenly it is no longer falling. It glides. It feels the thermal current lift it. It feels the power in its chest. It lets out a scream, not a cluck, but the war cry of the king of the sky. It rises higher and higher, until the farm seems like an insignificant dot below. It never became a chicken again. This audiobook is your naturalist. Why do I tell you this alternative ending? Because this audiobook is the naturalist. I am the voice that has come to bother you. I have come to enter your mental chicken coop and say to you, "What are you doing down there?" I have not come to give you more corn, comfort, entertainment, validation of your victimhood. I have come to take you to the mountain. I have come to throw you into the void. I know you are afraid. I know the routine is comfortable. I know the steady salary, the lukewarm relationship, and the predictable life are safe. But they are killing you. Spiritual awakening is not a gentle process full of flowers. It is often violent. It requires that you be torn from your comfort zone. It requires you to look into the abyss. It requires you to accept that everything you thought you were, your name, your profession, your history, your traumas, is just the chicken costume they put on you. You are not your name, you are not your job. You are not your depression. You are not your bank account. Those are the labels of the yard. You are the observer. You are the consciousness behind the eyes. You are the eagle. And the only reason you are not flying is because you are still waiting for the chickens to give you permission. Spoiler, they will never give it to you. Chickens hate the sky. Identity is a choice. The great secret the system hides from you is that identity is plastic. You are not a tree, you can move. You are not a stone, you can change. You have accepted the identity of poor, shy, sickly, or unlucky as if it were a tattoo on your skin. It is not a tattoo, it is a sticker. Others stuck it on you and you decided not to peel it off. Today, in this first chapter, I invite you to rip off the sticker. It hurts. Yes, it will take some hairs with it. The skin will stay red for a while, but underneath is your true skin. The first step to manifesting a different reality, to using the law of attraction, to living metaphysics, is not thinking positive. The first step is remembering who you are. You cannot manifest as a king if you keep identifying as a beggar. The law of resonance, which we will see later, does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. If you are a chicken that wants to fly, the universe will tell you, chickens don't fly, and you will stay grounded. If you become an eagle internally, flight is inevitable. It is your nature. Breaking the mental shell. How do you start? Start by doubting your limits. Every time you say, I can't, ask yourself, who says that? Do I say it, or does the chicken they programmed in me say it? Every time you feel fear of the future, ask yourself, is this fear mine, or is it inherited? Start looking at the sky. Start surrounding yourself with other eagles, books, mentors, friends who fly high. If you stay surrounded by people who only talk about crises, illnesses, and gossip, you will never fly. The gravity of the chicken coop is strong. You need to look for thermal currents. This audiobook is a thermal current. In the next chapters, we are going to teach you how to use your wings. We are going to teach you how the aerodynamics of reality work, how to use the wind of your thoughts, how to use the telescopic vision of your intuition, how to hunt your goals with laser precision. But none of that will work if you don't first take the choice. The decision to stop pecking the ground, the decision to accept that you are different, that you are immense, that you are powerful. Chapter 2. The Invisible Prison, Limiting Beliefs and the Elephant. Why, despite reading books, taking courses, and having the desire, do I remain stuck in the same financial place, in the same loneliness, or in the same anxiety? You feel an invisible force holding your legs. You try to run, but it is like running underwater. Let me tell you something that will relieve that guilt you carry. It is not your lack of willpower. It is not that you are lazy. It is not that you lack talent. It is that you are tied. And worst of all, is that you are tied to something that no longer exists. To understand the mechanics of this invisible prison, we must visit an old circus. But we are not going to look at the clowns or the trapeze artists. We are going to look behind the main tent, where the beasts rest. The parable of the tied giant. A small boy, fascinated by animals, went to visit the circus that had arrived in town. Walking among the trailers, he came across a scene that left him perplexed. He saw the elephant. It was a monumental beast, weighing 5 tons, with ivory tusks and a trunk capable of uprooting a tree with a single movement. However, the elephant was not in a steel cage. It had no thick chains. The only thing holding it was a small, thin rope tied to one of its hind legs, and that rope was connected to a small wooden stake, driven just a few centimeters into the ground. The boy looked at the rope. He looked at the elephant. It was evident that the animal, with a simple sneeze, could rip up the stake and walk away freely. But the elephant did not do it. It was still, resigned, defeated by a piece of hemp and a wooden stick. The confused boy looked for the trainer and asked him, "Sir, why doesn't that elephant escape? Is it drugged? Is it sick? That rope cannot stop it." The trainer smiled sadly and told him, "No, little one. The elephant doesn't escape because it has been tied to that same stake since it was very, very small." The boy closed his eyes and imagined the scene. He imagined the newborn elephant, helpless, tied to that same stake. Back then, the stake was indeed strong for him. The baby elephant pulled, sweated, and hurt its leg trying to free itself day after day. It pulled in the morning. It pulled at night. But the stake did not budge, until one day, the saddest day of its life, the animal accepted its helplessness. Its brain recorded a fatal command: "I can't, and I never will." Today that elephant is a powerful giant, but in its mind it remains that weak baby from 20 years ago. When it feels the slight tug of the rope on its ankle, its memory activates. It does not check if the stake is still firm. It does not test its current strength. It simply remembers its old failure and stops trying. The elephant is not tied to the stake. It is tied to a memory. The science of learned helplessness. This story is tender and sad, but science has a cold name for this: learned helplessness. Psychologist Martin Seligman demonstrated it in laboratories. If you subject a living being to situations where it has no control repeatedly, its brain learns to give up. Even when the cage doors open later, the living being does not leave. It stays still, waiting for the blow. You have learned helplessness. You are the elephant. The rope is your limiting belief, and the stake is your childhood. Between the ages of 0 and 7, your brain operated in a brainwave frequency called theta. Theta is a state of deep hypnosis. Children have no critical filter. They have no logic to reject information. They are open recorders. Everything you saw, heard, and felt in those years entered directly into your subconscious without a filter. If you heard your parents fighting over money and saying money is bad, the rich are thieves, you recorded having money is dangerous and bad. That is your rope. If in school you were bullied and felt humiliated speaking in public, you recorded, my voice is not worth it. It is better to remain silent to survive. That is your stake. If your father was absent or cold, you recorded, I am not worthy of love. I have to work very hard to be noticed. Now you are an adult. You are 30, 40, 50 years old. You have the strength of an elephant. You have skills. You have intelligence. You have resources. You could pull up the money is bad stake and become a millionaire. You could pull up the I'm not worth it stake and find a worthy love. But you don't try. Or you try timidly, feel the small tug of fear, the rope, and your subconscious screams, stop, remember we can't. And you stop. You sabotage yourself. You stay in the job you hate. You stay with the partner who doesn't love you, not because you can't leave, but because you believe you can't. The guardian of the threshold, your subconscious. Here is the great trap of the matrix. Your beliefs are not facts. They are habits of thought. A belief is simply a thought you have repeated so many times that your brain has stopped questioning it and has turned it into an automatic program to save energy. Your subconscious mind does not want you to be happy. It wants you to be alive. And for your primitive mind, the known, even if painful, is safe. The unknown, even if it is freedom, is dangerous. Your rope keeps you in the known zone. That is why when you try to change, or start a business, or leave a toxic relationship, you feel panic. You feel physical anxiety. It is not an intuition of real danger. It is your internal programming screaming, you are moving away from the stake, come back, we are safe here even if we are sad. The educational, religious, and social system benefits from this. An elephant that knows it can break the rope is a dangerous elephant. It breaks the circus. A human being who knows they have no limits is ungovernable. That is why they fill you with news of fear. That is why they repeat that you are fragile. To reinforce the stake, so that you never test your true strength. How to break the rope. The liberation protocol. How do you free the elephant? It is useless to scream, you are free. It doesn't believe you. It has to test its strength. It has to feel the stake give way. The process of breaking your limiting beliefs requires courage, but it is simple. Here is the protocol to pull up the stake today. Step 1. Identify the rope. You cannot break what you do not see. Look at the area of your life where you are stuck. Money, love, health, and ask yourself, why do I believe I cannot change this? Write the answer. Because I am old. Because the country is doing poorly. Because I have no education. There it is. That sentence you just said, that is the rope. It is not an absolute truth, it is a belief. Step 2. Question the origin, the time travel. Ask yourself, whose voice is this? Is it yours? Were you born thinking money is bad? No. Is it the voice of your father, your grandmother, a bitter teacher? Realize that you are living your life with someone else's software. You are operating with the fear of a ghost. Return that belief. Mentally say, this is not mine, I learned it, but now I decide to unlearn it. Step 3. The defiant action. the tug. The elephant only realizes it is free when it pulls. You have to do something that scares your belief. If your belief is, I cannot speak in public, your defiant action is to record a video or speak at a meeting. By doing so, you will feel fear, the tug of the rope, but do it anyway. And when you finish and see that you did not die, that the world did not end, your brain will receive new data. Wait, the stake moved. I am stronger than before. Each small act of bravery weakens the rope. Every time you invest in yourself despite the fear of poverty, the rope breaks a little. Every time you set a boundary despite the fear of rejection, the stake loosens. The lie of it's too late. Perhaps you are thinking, I am already too old. I've been tied up for 40 years. The stake is rusted and fused with my skin. That is the trainer's last lie. In the world of the mind, time does not exist. A 50-year-old belief can be broken in a second of insight, revelation. It is like a room that has been dark for 1,000 years. If you light a candle, does the darkness say, I'm not leaving because I've been here a long time? No. The darkness vanishes instantly before the light. No matter how long you have been a slave, the moment you realize your power, the slavery ends. The story of the elephant has a sad ending in the circus, but you are not in a circus. You are in the awakening. You are the elephant that today, right now, has looked at its leg and realized the rope is old and frayed. You are the elephant that has looked the trainer, fear, in the eyes and seen that he is small. Your current strength is immense. You have survived pain. You have survived losses. You have survived dark nights of the soul. You are a survivor. You are a giant. Are you really going to let a childhood memory stop you now? I dare you today, look for a stake in your life, a small one. That call you don't dare to make, those clothes you don't dare to wear, that idea you don't dare to write down, and give it a tug. Do it with fear. Do it trembling. But do it. And listen to the most beautiful sound in the world, the sound of rotting wood creaking and coming out of the earth, the sound of your freedom. Once you pull up the first stake, you will realize you can pull them all up. The entire circus is an illusion. And you are ready to go back to the jungle. Chapter 3, The Echo of Reality. This is where most people give up. This is where the warrior breaks. Because you have changed your intention, but you have not understood the response mechanism. You have forgotten that you live in a canyon. You think the world is a stage full of other actors who improvise and do things to you. You think your boss is an independent villain, that the economy is an autonomous monster, that your partner has the power to decide whether to love you or not. You are wrong. The world is not a stage. The world is a stone wall, and everything that happens to you is not a new action. It is a bounce. To make you understand why your life repeats itself like a scratched record, despite your efforts to change it, I have to take you to the mountains. I have to tell you the story of the boy who discovered the secret of the universe through his own voice. The parable of the boy and the echo. Once upon a time there was a boy who lived in a valley surrounded by immense mountains, granite peaks that touched the clouds. It was a beautiful place, but lonely. One day the boy had a terrible argument with his mother. He felt misunderstood, unfairly scolded. Rage burned in his chest. He needed to let out that fury, so he ran out of the house. He ran and ran until he reached the edge of a great precipice, facing the highest mountain in the valley. There, with clenched fists and tears in his eyes, the boy took a breath and shouted with all his might into the void, I hate you so much. The boy waited a second, breathing heavily, and suddenly from the mountain a cavernous and deep voice much larger than his own answered him, I hate you so much. The boy froze. Fear chilled his blood. He did not know what an echo was. He was small and had never heard anything like it. To him, there was an evil giant living in the mountain, an invisible monster that hated him and shouted at him with a voice of thunder. Terrified, the boy turned around and ran back to his house, stumbling, crying, searching for his mother's skirt. Mama, Mama, he shouted. There is a monster in the mountain, a bad giant. The mother hugged him and asked, What did the monster say to you, son? He told me he hated me. The boy sobbed. I shouted at him and he shouted back at me that he hated me very much. I am afraid. The mother, a wise woman who knew the secrets of the valley and of life, smiled softly. She understood what had happened. She took the boy by the hand, dried his tears, and said calmly, "Come with me, we are going back to the mountain." The boy resisted. "No, he is bad. He is going to hurt me." "Trust me," she said. "That monster is not what you think. We are going to talk to him again." They walked together to the edge of the precipice. The boy hid behind his mother's legs, trembling. "Now," said the mother, "I want you to shout something different. I want you to shout to the monster, 'I love you.'" The boy looked at her as if she were crazy. Say, "I love you" to the enemy? But he trusted his mother. He took a breath, closed his eyes, and shouted toward the stone wall, "I love you." The silence lasted a second, and then the mountain responded. The cavernous and deep voice returned, but this time it brought a different vibration. "I love you." The boy opened his eyes, surprised. The mother whispered to him, "Tell him, you are wonderful." The boy shouted, "Well, you are wonderful." And the mountain roared back, "You are wonderful." The boy began to laugh. The fear disappeared. Now he was playing with the giant. The mother knelt down to his level and said, "Son, there is no monster. That voice is yours. The mountain only returns to you what you give it. People call it echo, but in reality it is life. Life is a mirror. If you give it hate, it returns hate to you. If you give it love, it returns love to you. If you are afraid of it, it will give you reasons to fear. You cannot fight against the mountain. You can only change your shout." Decoding the echo, you are the origin. This story seems like a children's tale, but it holds the most brutal and exact metaphysical law that exists, the law of correspondence. As within, so without. You are the boy. The world, your job, your partner, your bank account, your health, is the mountain, and your life is the echo. The problem is that most human beings live trapped in the first act of the parable. They live shouting, "I hate you." Complaints, fear, victimhood, and when the world returns problems to them, they get scared and say, "The world is cruel, I have bad luck, God has abandoned me." They do not realize that the world is neutral. The mountain did not hate the boy. The mountain did not love the boy. The mountain was simply a reflective surface, a wall of pure physics. If you are broke, it is not because the economy hates you. It is because you have spent years shouting, vibrationally, "I am afraid of not having money. Money is hard. I am poor." The universe, which is a giant and obedient echo, answers you. Money is hard. You are poor. Here is an unexpected bill to confirm it. If you are alone, it is not because there are no good men, women. It is because you shout, "Nobody loves me. Everyone betrays. I am not enough." And the universe sends you people who betray you. The echo never lies, and it is never wrong. The law of assumption, changing the shout. Neville Goddard, the great modern mystic, refined this concept in what he called the law of assumption. Many people confuse this with the law of attraction, but there is a subtle and powerful difference. Attraction sounds like you are here, and what you want is over there, and you have to bring it, attract it toward you. That implies distance. It implies separation. It implies time. Assumption is different. To assume means to take for granted. It means to appropriate an identity now. The boy did not try to attract the love of the mountain. The boy emitted love, and the mountain reflected love. You cannot receive what you do not give. You cannot see without what you are not within. Neville said, "You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are." If you want to be rich, you cannot want to be rich. Wanting implies lack. If I want water, it is because I do not have water. Wanting is a cry of, "I do not have." And if you shout, "I do not have" to the mountain, what does the echo answer you? You do not have. That is why the more you desperately want something, the further it moves away. Your desperation is a deafening cry of lack. To change the echo, you have to change the shout. You have to assume the identity of the one who already has. You have to shout, "I am rich, I am loved, I am healthy." And here is the trap. You cannot shout it only with your mouth. The mountain does not listen to empty words. It listens to vibrations. It listens to internal truths. You have to shout it with your feeling. You have to feel rich before seeing the money. You have to feel loved before having a partner. You have to feel healthy before the doctor gives you the discharge. This seems like madness. It seems illogical. Your rational mind, the chicken from the previous chapter, will tell you, How am I going to feel rich if I have debts? That is lying to myself. And I ask you, do you prefer to lie to yourself positively and create wealth? Or do you prefer to tell yourself the negative truth and perpetuate your poverty? Reality is plastic. It molds itself according to your assumption. If you assume the truth of your greatness, even if your eyes do not see it yet, the echo will take a while, but it will. The echo delay, the time lag. Here we reach the point where the dreams of the impatient die. There is a technical difference between a mountain echo and the echo of reality. In the mountain, the bounce is almost immediate. You shout and you hear. In physical reality, there is a delay. We live in a dense world. Matter is heavy. Moving circumstances, people and money takes terrestrial time. Imagine that the echo of reality takes 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months to return. Today you shout, "I am abundant." But tomorrow, the mail brings you an overdue bill. What is that bill? It is the echo of your shout from a month ago. It is the remnant of your old self. It is the old sound that is still bouncing off the walls of the canyon. The fatal mistake you make is this. You see the bill, the old echo, and you react. You say, "Shit, this doesn't work. I'm still poor." By saying that, you have just launched a new shout of poverty. You have reactivated the cycle. The universe was about to send you the echo of abundance, but you have just cancelled it and asked for scarcity again. To master the law of assumption, you need persistence and denial of the senses. You have to be able to see the old bill, understand that it is a dead echo, not react and keep shouting, "I am rich." You have to ignore the current reality, which is materialized past, to be able to create the future reality. It is like the captain of a giant ship. If the captain turns the rudder to the right, the ship continues going straight for a few kilometers by inertia before starting to turn. If the captain sees that the ship does not turn instantly and says, "It doesn't work," and turns the rudder to the left again, the ship will never change course. It will be zigzagging eternally. Your life is that ship. Keep the rudder turned. Keep your new assumption, even if it seems you are still going toward the rocks. The turn is inevitable. It is physics. The echo will return. It always returns. The danger of shouting quietly. Many of you are shouting, "I want to change," with a small mouth, but you are shouting, "I am afraid," with a subconscious megaphone. The universe listens to the megaphone. Your dominant thoughts are your real shout. If you spend 5 minutes a day visualizing your success and 23 hours worrying, what do you think will win? What? The mountain is mathematical. Addition and subtraction. 5 minutes of love minus 23 hours of fear equals an echo of fear. You need a mental diet. You need to watch what you are shouting into the canyon every hour of the day. Every time you complain about traffic, you shout stress. Every time you criticize a politician, you shout conflict. Every time you envy someone on Instagram, you shout, "I do not have." You have to discipline your internal voice. You have to become an obsessive guardian of what comes out of you. If it is not good, if it is not what you want to see bounced back tomorrow, do not shout it. Shut up, bite your tongue, change the thought. Silence is better than a negative shout. The mountain is your friend. I want you to change your relationship with the world today. Stop seeing the world as a hostile place. Stop seeing others as enemies. There are no enemies outside. There are only mirrors. There are only bounce walls. The boss who treats you badly is an echo of your lack of respect for yourself. The partner who does not value you is an echo of your own insecurity. This at first hurts. The ego hates this truth because it takes away the role of victim. The ego wants to say, "He is bad." The spirit knows, "He is me reflected." But once you accept the radical responsibility that you are the origin of the sound, you become invincible. Because if you are the origin, you have control. You do not have to change your boss. You do not have to change your partner. You do not have to change the government. You only have to change your shout. And when your shout changes, the mountain, obedient and faithful, will change its answer. It is law. It cannot not do it. Chapter 4. The Art of Letting Go, the Attachment Trap and the Closed Fist. You feel a tension in your chest, a subtle anxiety that turns into despair at night. You look at your phone, waiting for that message. You check your email, waiting for that offer. You tell yourself, "I'm doing it. I'm assuming. I'm vibrating high. Why isn't it arriving?" The answer is going to hurt your ego, but it is going to set your soul free. It is not arriving because you are suffocating it. It is not arriving because your desire has become a need. And in the language of the universe, need is the lowest vibration that exists. It is the vibration of absolute lack. If you need something to be happy, you are shouting to the universe, "I don't have it, I am incomplete, without this I die." And the echo, faithful to its nature, answers you, "You don't have it, you are incomplete." You are caught in the attachment trap. You believe your job is to hold your desire tightly, to protect it, to fight for it. But metaphysics works the opposite way of Newtonian physics. In the physical world, to grab something, you use force. In the quantum world, to have something, you must let it go. To explain why your willpower is sabotaging your miracle, I have to take you into the deep jungle. I have to tell you how the cleverest hunters catch the most agile animals without using nets, darts, or cages. I have to tell you the story of the monkey and the jar. The parable of the monkey and the nuts. In the jungles of Indonesia, villagers have an ancient and peculiar method for hunting monkeys. Monkeys are fast, intelligent, and live in the treetops. Chasing them is useless. They always win. So the villagers do not chase them. They use a fatal weakness in the monkey's psychology. It's greed. The hunter takes an empty coconut or a dried gourd and makes a small hole in it, large enough for a monkey's open hand to pass through, but small enough so that a closed fist cannot. The hunter nails the coconut firmly to a tree or chains it to the ground. Then, in front of the curious eyes of the monkeys watching from the branches, the hunter places a handful of sweet nuts, rice, or fruit with an irresistible smell inside the coconut, and he leaves. He hides among the bushes. The monkey, attracted by the aroma, cautiously climbs down. It looks at the coconut. It looks around. Everything seems safe. It slides its open hand through the hole. It touches the nuts. It feels the treasure. Its instinct fires. "It's mine!" It closes its hand into a tight fist, grabbing as many nuts as possible. And then it tries to pull its hand out. But the fist, now full of nuts, is larger than the hole. The hand won't come out. The monkey pulls. It screams. It becomes enraged. It pulls with all its might. It kicks against the tree, but it is trapped. At that moment, the hunter emerges from the bushes with a net. The monkey sees the hunter. It sees death approaching. It enters absolute panic. It screeches, jumps, tries to flee, but its hand is still inside the coconut. Here is the tragedy. The monkey is free. Nothing holds it. The coconut has no locking mechanism. There is no glue, no mechanical trap. The only thing the monkey has to do to save its life, to escape and return to the trees, is to open its hand. It has to let go of the nuts. But the monkey's mind is collapsed by desire and fear. Its primitive logic tells it, if I open my hand, I lose the food, and I want the food. It's mine. I cannot let go. The fear of losing the treasure is stronger than the survival instinct. The hunter calmly arrives and throws the net over it. The monkey is captured, not by the hunter, not by the coconut. It was captured by its own inability to let go. Decoding the trap. You are the monkey. This story is brutal because it is an exact mirror of your current situation. You are the monkey. The hunter is the suffering, anxiety, and stagnation you feel. The coconut is your current reality, the situation that limits you. And the nuts? Ah, the nuts. The nuts are your specific desire. That ex-partner who has to come back to you because you believe they are the love of your life. That specific job at that specific company. That money you need to arrive from a concrete source, lottery, inheritance, sale. You have reached your hand into reality, grabbed your desire and closed your fist. You tell yourself, I'm not going to be happy until I have this. I'm not going to let go until it's mine. And now you are trapped. The universe, the hunter, is cornering you. You feel the pressure. You feel life slipping away, and the universe shouts to you, open your hand, let go of the result, trust. But you respond by shouting, no, if I let go, I lose it. If I stop worrying, it won't happen. If I stop calling them, they will forget about me. You believe your obsession is the engine of your success. You believe worrying is being responsible. You believe clinging is love, but the secret code of reality says otherwise. Attachment is fear in disguise, and fear repels. The physics of detachment. The law of reversed effort. There is a psychological and spiritual law called the law of reversed effort. Alan Watts, the philosopher, explained it with the example of water. If you fall into the water and don't know how to swim, your instinct is to struggle. You splash, you scream, you swallow water, you tense up. What happens? You sink. The more you struggle to float, the faster you drown. But if you surrender, if you let your body go limp, if you fill your lungs with air and stay still, the water pushes you up. You float. Effort sinks you. Surrender saves you. The same thing happens with manifestation. Your desire is like a cork that you want to come to the surface, but your attachment, your anxiety, and your control are your hands pushing the cork underwater. You are tensed. You are exerting force for it to happen. As long as you maintain goo pressure, the cork cannot rise. The moment you let go, kami, boom! The cork jumps to the surface by its own natural buoyancy. Detachment is not wanting the desire. The monkey could have pulled its hand out, climbed the tree, and looked for other fruit. Detachment is giving up the neurotic need for it to happen now and in the way you want. It is saying, I want this, but I don't need it to be alive and complete. If it comes, wonderful. If it doesn't, I am also fine. That attitude of divine indifference is magnetic. The universe loves people who do not desperately need it. The how is poison for the monkey. The greatest form of attachment is the obsession with the how. You define the what, I want wealth, but then your monkey mind tries to control the how. It has to be by winning the lottery, or it has to be with a promotion in this job. By closing your fist over the how, you block all other paths. Imagine you ask for money. The universe has a million ways to give it to you. A business idea, a gift, an investment, a find, a refund. But you are clinging to the nuts of the lottery ticket. The universe tries to give you gold from another direction, but your hand is busy clutching the lottery ticket that isn't winning. You are tied down. If you let go of the how, your hands would be free to receive whatever the universe wants to put in them. Your insistence on things being your way is the greatest display of arrogance and lack of faith. You are telling infinite intelligence, you don't know. I know better than you how this should arrive. It's like hiring the best architect in the world and then trying to tell them how to lay the bricks. Let go of control. Control is an illusion of the ego. The architect knows what they are doing. The fear of the void. Why don't we let go? Why doesn't the monkey let go of the nuts even when it sees the hunter? Because the monkey has a fear of the void. It feels the nuts in its hand. They are tangible. They are real. Letting go of them implies being left with an empty hand for a moment, and the mind hates the void. You don't let go of that toxic partner because you are afraid of being alone. You prefer a known pain over an unknown happiness. You don't let go of that miserable job because you are afraid of economic uncertainty. You don't let go of your old victim identity because you don't know who you are without your problems. But the metaphysical law is clear. The void is the prerequisite for filling. If you have a closet full of old clothes, there is no room for new ones. If you have lungs full of stale air, you cannot inhale fresh air. You have to exhale to inhale. You have to let go to grab. You have to empty yourself to be filled. That empty hand moment, that instant of uncertainty between letting go of the old and the arrival of the new, that is the moment of faith. That is where you prove who you are. The brave monkey opens its hand, loses the nuts, breaks free, climbs the tree, and discovers that there is an entire banquet waiting above. The cowardly monkey dies with the nuts in its hand. The technique of active surrender. Perhaps you say to me, I understand I have to let go, but how do you do that? I can't stop thinking about my desire. My mind goes back to it over and over. Detachment is not a passive act of I don't care. It is an active act of attention redirection. Here is the technique to open your fist. Recognize the tension. Observe your body. Where do you feel the anxiety for your desire? In your stomach, in your throat? That tension is your closed fist. Recognize, I am attached, I am scared. I believe I need this to live. The truth will set you free. Admit your desperation. The worst-case scenario, the ghost. Look fear in the face. Ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen if this never arrives? If they don't come back, I will be alone. If I don't get the money, I will lose the house. Good. Look at it and realize that you will still be alive. Realize that you are greater than that circumstance. Realize that your happiness doesn't depend on that, but on your connection with yourself. When you accept that you can survive the worst-case scenario, fear loses its teeth. The hunter disappears. The handover, the gift. Visualize your desire in your hands. Look at it. It is beautiful. You want it. Now visualize that you hand it over to a greater force, God, the universe, your higher self. Mentally say, I hand it over to you. It is no longer my problem. It is your project. I did my part, defining what I want. Now you do yours, bringing it. I trust your timing and your ways. And feel your hands opening. Feel the physical relief. Relief is the sign that you have let go. If you are still anxious, you have not let go. Occupy your mind. The monkey needs something to do. If you sit around waiting, you will grab the coconut again. Go do something you are passionate about. Dance, paint, work, help someone. Distract your ego. While the universe brings me my order, I'm going to enjoy my life. That attitude is irresistible. When you stop looking at the phone, it rings. When you stop looking for the keys, they appear. When you forget about the desire because you are busy being happy, the desire knocks on your door. The butler test. Imagine you go to a luxury restaurant. You order your favorite dish from the waiter. Do you go to the kitchen to watch the cook? Do you ask him every 30 seconds if it's ready yet? Do you doubt if they have the ingredients? No. You relax. You drink your wine. You chat with your companion. You know the order has been placed. You know the kitchen works. You know the dish will come. Your tranquility is the proof of your faith. If you are distressed, it is because deep down you believe the kitchen is closed or the waiter forgot about you. You believe the universe is a chaotic and fraudulent restaurant? Change that belief. The universe is the most efficient restaurant in existence. It has never lost an order. But it only serves those who sit at the table and wait with dignity, not those who go screaming into the kitchen. Chapter 5. Your true value. The relativity of the environment and the old watch. The pain of not being seen is devastating. It makes you question your existence. It makes you want to shrink, turn off your light, and become grey so as not to suffer the disappointment of shining while no one looks. But today, I have come to tell you that your calculator is broken. You are calculating your value using the wrong metric. You are committing the fundamental error of spiritual economics, believing that the price is set by the object. No. The price is set by the market, and you, dear friend, have been trying to sell a diamond in a fish market. To understand why you feel cheap while being valuable, I have to tell you the story of an object forgotten in a drawer. I have to tell you the parable of the old watch. The parable of the grandfather's watch. A young man was about to graduate from college. His father, a man of few words but deep feelings, called him into his study. He opened an old drawer and took out a pocket watch. It was dull. It had scratches on the glass. The leather strap was worn. It looked like scrap metal. The father handed it to his son and said, "This watch is more than 200 years old. It belonged to your great-great-grandfather. Before I give it to you as a graduation gift, I want you to do something for me. I want you to go to the pawn shop on the main street, show them the watch, and ask how much they will give you for it." The young man, a bit disappointed to receive an old piece of junk, obeyed. He went to the pawn shop. The owner looked at the watch with disdain, weighed it in his hand, and said, "It's very scratched. The mechanism is old. I'll give you $5. The young man returned home. "Dad, the man at the shop offers $5. He says it's old scrap." The father nodded without flinching. "Good. Now I want you to go to the watchmaker downtown. Ask the watchmaker." The young man went. The watchmaker took a magnifying glass, looked at the mechanism and said, "Well, it's an interesting piece, but it would need a lot of repair. I could give you $20 for the parts." The young man returned, frustrated. "Dad, this is a waste of time. The watchmaker offers $20. Why don't we just throw it away?" The father smiled and said, "Do me one last favor. Go to the city's Museum of Antiquities. Find the expert curator and show him the watch. Just show it to him." The young man, huffing, went to the museum. He found the expert and took the watch out of his pocket. The moment the expert saw the watch, his eyes widened like saucers. He put on white velvet gloves. He took the watch with extreme delicacy. He held it as if he were holding the heart of a king. He examined it with a jeweler's lens, murmuring exclamations of wonder. Finally, he looked at the young man and said with a trembling voice, "Where did you get this?" "This is an original Breguet from the Lost series of 1790. Only 10 were ever made in the world. We thought this one was destroyed. It is an incalculable masterpiece." The young man, stunned, asked, "How much is it worth?" "The museum cannot buy it right now," said the expert. "But if we took it to international auction, the bidding would start at $1 million, and it would probably go up." The young man ran home, pale, with the watch pressed against his chest. Dad, the man at the museum says it's worth $1 million. He says it's a masterpiece." The father sat his son down and said, "I wanted you to learn this before you went out into the world. The watch is the same. In the pawn shop, it was $5 scrap. In the museum, it was $1 million jewel. Your value does never change. What changes is who looks at you. If you stay in a place where they don't know how to see your value, do not get angry with them. They are ignorant. Simply go to the museum. Never stay in a place where no one knows who you are." Decoding value, the blindness of the environment. This story is the exact explanation of your current suffering. You are the watch. Your soul is a complex, ancient, and divine machinery. You have unique talents. You have an infinite capacity to love. You have a wisdom that comes from other lives. You are a masterpiece. But you have spent the last years of your life in the pawn shop. Perhaps that shop is your family, who always compared you to your sibling and made you feel like less. Perhaps it is your partner, who treats you like just another piece of furniture in the house and does not see the magic in you. Perhaps it is your boss, who pays you minimum wage while you solve million-dollar problems for him. The problem is not that you are scrap. The problem is that you are trying to sell yourself to people who do not have the ability to appraise you. The pawn shop owner was not evil. He simply didn't know about antique watches. To him, it was just old metal. Your toxic partner is not necessarily a monster. Perhaps they are simply someone with a consciousness so limited, so asleep, and so wounded that they are incapable of recognizing unconditional love, even if it's right in front of them. You are giving pearls to pigs, and the Bible says it clearly. "Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you in pieces." It is not an insult to the pigs. The pig does not know what a pearl is. To the pig, it is a hard stone that cannot be eaten. It gets upset because it is not corn. If you give your pure love, pearl, to someone who only wants drama, corn, they are going to bite you. Not because you are not worthy, but because they do not know how to eat pearls. The savior syndrome, trying to educate the pig. This is where your ego plays a trick on you. Instead of going to the museum, you stay in the pawn shop trying to convince the owner. You stay for years shouting, "Look at me, I am valuable, I am a 1790 Breguet, love me." You clean the watch for him. You explain your value. You make diagrams. You work twice as hard. You work overtime. You love harder. You think, if I strive enough, he will realize and pay me the $1 million. Let me save you 10 years of therapy. It is never going to happen. The pawn shop owner does not have the mental software to see the $1 million. His reality is a $5 reality. You cannot force someone to see what their level of consciousness does not allow them to see. It is like trying to explain colors to someone blind from birth. It's not that they don't want to understand you, it's that they don't have the receiving organ. Your insistence on being valued by someone who despises you is not love. It is begging. It is a lack of respect toward yourself. Every day you spend trying to prove your value to someone who doesn't see it, your market value drops. You wear yourself out. You get scratched, like the watch glass. You become bitter. And in the end, you finish believing they are right. You end up believing you are worth $5. The soul tribe, finding the museum. The museum exists. The museum is your soul tribe. They are those people who vibrate at your same frequency. They are the bosses looking for real talent. They are the partners looking for real love. They are the friends who celebrate your success instead of envying it. When you enter the museum, the correct environment, everything changes. You don't have to shout, you don't have to sell yourself, you don't have to strive. The expert saw the watch and knew instantly what it was. He didn't need the watch to do anything, he only needed the watch to be there. When you find your tribe, love is easy, work flows. They tell you, wow, how well you write, how well you cook, how well you listen. And you think, but it's the same thing I was doing before. Yes, it is the same. But now there is light. Now there are expert eyes watching you. The great challenge of awakening is having the courage to leave the pawn shop and walk alone down the street until you find the museum. That solitary journey is scary. Your mind tells you, what if there is no museum? What if I stay alone on the street? Better $5 than nothing. That is the trap of scarcity. Better the devil you know than the angel you don't. Lie. Better the angel you don't know than the devil you do. Always. Loneliness is the price of the museum ticket. It is the transit corridor. It is better to be alone and worth $1 million in potential than to be in bad company and worth $5 in action. Self-worth you put on the tag. But there is one final twist in the story. The watch could not speak. You can. The watch could not decide its price. You can. In the market of life, you are the product and you are the seller. You wear the price tag hanging from your neck. If you walk through life with a tag that says 90% discount, I am desperate, I accept anything, the world will treat you like cheap merchandise. People will haggle with you. They will ask you for emotional discounts. They will say, I love you, but only on weekends. I'll hire you, but without benefits. And you will accept, because your tag says sale. To get to the museum, first you have to put on the masterpiece tag. You have to look in the mirror and say, I am worth the effort, I am worth the wait, I am worth the investment. And when someone comes with $5, you, with all the calm in the world, must say no. That no is magic. That no raises your market price instantly. When you reject what is not at your level, the universe understands the message, this human knows what they are worth. We cannot send them trash, send them the good stuff. Respect is not asked for, it is commanded. And it is commanded by establishing boundaries. A boundary is the distance between you and a lack of respect. If someone crosses the boundary and you do not leave, you have lowered your price. If you stay, you are saying, my price is negotiable. The new you, the eagle, the owner of the echo, does not negotiate their dignity. The fear of arrogance. Many of you are afraid to recognize your value because you've been taught that it is arrogance or pride. They told you, be humble. But misunderstood humility is humiliation. Recognizing that you are a divine piece is not arrogance, it is truth. If you have a diamond and say it's glass, you are not humble. You are a liar or ignorant. God does not create trash. If you treat yourself like trash, you are insulting the artisan who created you. True humility is saying, I am valuable, not because I am better than you, but because I am unique. And you are valuable too. We both deserve to be in the museum. Arrogance is believing oneself superior. Self-esteem is believing oneself sufficient. You need self-esteem to survive the jungle of others' opinions. The hardware store test. How do you know if you are in the wrong place? Take the hardware store test. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Do you feel expanded or contracted when you are with them? Do you leave seeing them with energy or exhausted? Do they celebrate your victories or minimize them? Do they understand your dreams or tell you to be realistic? If you feel small, dimmed, misunderstood and tired, you are in the hardware store. You are in the pawn shop. They are not bad people. They are screws and hammers, and you are a precision watch. They do not serve the same purpose. Do not try to tell the time with a hammer. And do not try to drive a nail with a watch. Let them be hammers. And you go look for the watches. You may have to change jobs. You may have to break up with that partner of years. You may have to distance yourself from your biological family for a while. It is painful. It is a grieving process, but it is a necessary grief, because if you don't leave, you will die rusted in that drawer, and the world will miss your magic. This week, you are going to practice the art of leaving. You are going to identify a situation or a person who is offering you $5 for your time or your love, and you are going to withdraw. You don't need to fight. You don't need to shout at them. You don't need to explain to them why you are worth more. Remember, they won't understand. Simply withdraw your energy. Stop calling. Stop seeking approval. Stop doing free overtime. Pick up your watch from the table and put it in your pocket. Say, "I'm sorry, this item is not for sale at that price." And start walking toward the museum. Start looking for environments where growth, ideas, and healthy love are spoken of. Read books by great people. Listen to audios by great people. Tune into the $1 million frequency. Chapter 6. The Alchemy of Pain. Just when you think you are in control, just when you think life is going to be a bed of roses because you have awakened, the water begins to boil. A disease arrives. You lose that job you thought was secure. Your partner leaves you from one day to the next. A loved one dies. Or simply a deep existential void invades you. Your first reaction, the human, logical, and visceral reaction, is to shout to the sky, "Why me? I was doing everything right. I was visualizing. I was decreeing. This is unfair." Listen to me carefully, because this is going to save your life. Pain is not a punishment. Pain is an agent of change. The universe is not punishing you for your past sins. It is preparing you for your future. But preparation hurts. Preparation involves heat. It involves pressure. It involves breaking old structures. You have been living in the comfort of room temperature. But gold is only purified in fire. The diamond is only formed under pressure that would crush any other stone. You are in the crucible right now. And the question is not, when is this going to stop? The question is, what am I going to become when this ends? To understand the only three options you have in the face of adversity, I have to take you to an ancient kitchen. I have to tell you the story of a wise grandmother and a desperate granddaughter. I have to tell you the parable of the 3 pots. The parable of the alchemical kitchen. A young woman went to visit her grandmother. She was devastated. Her life was a chaos. Her husband had cheated on her. She had debts, and she felt she had no strength to get out of bed. "Grandma," she cried, "I can't take it anymore. Life is too hard. Every time I solve one problem, a worse one appears. I want to give up." The grandmother said nothing. She took her by the hand and led her to the kitchen. She filled 3 pots with water and placed them over high heat. Soon the water in the 3 pots began to boil furiously. In the first pot, the grandmother threw in some carrots. In the second pot, she threw in some eggs. In the third pot, she threw in some coffee beans. She let them boil for 20 minutes without saying a word. The granddaughter, impatient and tearful, did not understand what was happening. "What are you doing, Grandma? I'm telling you about my pain, and you start cooking." The grandmother turned off the heat. She took the carrots out and put them on a plate. She took the eggs out and put them in a bowl. She strained the coffee and served it in a cup. She looked at her granddaughter and asked, "Tell me, what do you see?" "I see carrots, eggs, and coffee," the young woman replied in a tired tone. The grandmother smiled. "Come closer, touch the carrots." The young woman did so and noticed they were soft. They fell apart at her touch. "Now break an egg." The young woman broke the shell and observed that the egg, which before was liquid and fragile inside, was now hard and rubbery. "Now taste the coffee." The young woman smiled as she tasted the rich aroma of the coffee. "What does this mean, Grandma?" The old woman sat down and explained the most important lesson of alchemy. The 3 elements faced the same adversity, boiling water. But each one reacted differently. The carrot entered the water strong, hard and proud. But after fighting the heat, it became weak, soft, and fell apart. It lost its structure. The egg entered the water fragile. Its interior was fluid, full of potential for life, protected only by a thin shell. But after the heat, its interior hardened. Its shell looks the same, but inside it is a stone. The coffee bean, however, was unique. When the water began to boil, the coffee did not soften or harden. The coffee changed the water. It used the heat to release its best flavor and aroma. It turned adversity into something new and delicious. Without the boiling water, the coffee would never have been coffee. It would only have been a dry bean. The grandmother looked into the young woman's eyes and asked, "Which of the three are you? When adversity knocks on your door, when the water boils, are you a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean?" The archetype of the carrot, false strength, the victim. Let's analyze this because you have been a carrot many times. The carrot represents people who seem strong on the outside. They are those people who say, "I can handle everything. Nothing affects me. I am a warrior." They have a shell of ego. They are rigid. They are proud. But their strength is superficial. It is not based on wisdom, but on raw resistance. When life turns up the heat, a real crisis, the carrot has no internal resources. It collapses. It becomes soft. It turns into a pathetic victim. They are those people who, faced with a divorce or bankruptcy, totally lose their shape. They become depressed until they cannot move. They become emotionally dependent. They lose their dignity. They go from being the strong one of the neighborhood to being the poor wretch. They shout, "Life has broken me. Look at me, I am undone." The carrot hates boiling water because the water destroys it. If you are a carrot, your spirituality is just a facade. You have pretty quotes on Instagram, but when the pain arrives, you forget everything and surrender to self-pity. You fall apart, and the worst thing is that you blame the water. The water was too hot. No, the water is neutral. Your structure was not prepared for the heat. The archetype of the egg, the armored heart, the cynic. This is the most common trap in the modern world. The egg starts well. It has a fluid, sensitive heart, capable of loving and dreaming. It is vulnerable. But then, life hits it. The water boils. It suffers a betrayal. It suffers an abuse. It suffers a loss. And to survive, the egg decides that it will never be hurt again. The egg hardens inside. On the outside, it looks the same. It keeps going to work, keeps smiling in photos, keeps having a partner. But inside, it is made of stone. It no longer feels. It no longer trusts. It no longer cries. It becomes cynical, bitter, cold. It says things like, "Love doesn't exist. Everyone is out for themselves. Life is a mess and then you die." The egg believes it has won because it no longer suffers, but it has lost the most valuable thing, its ability to connect. A hard egg cannot give life. A hard egg cannot mix. The egg hates boiling water because it stole its innocence. If you are an egg, you protect yourself so much from pain that you have become impermeable to joy. You are safe, yes, but you are dead inside. Rigidity is not strength. It is spiritual rigor mortis. The archetype of the coffee, the alchemist, the creator. And then, there is the coffee. The coffee is the master. The coffee understands the physics of reality. You cannot stop the fire. You cannot cool the water. The crisis is inevitable. Pain is part of the contract of being alive. But the coffee has a secret. It knows it has a concentrated essence, oils, aroma, flavor, that is trapped inside its solid form. And it knows that to release that essence, it needs boiling water. Without the heat, the coffee is just a useless seed. The boiling water is not its enemy, it is its partner. When the temperature rises, the coffee does not protect itself, like the egg, or surrender like the carrot. The coffee opens up. It surrenders. It dissolves in the water. And in doing so, the miracle happens. The water stops being water and becomes coffee. The coffee transforms its environment. The boiling water, which before was a threat capable of burning, is now a rich, stimulating and valuable drink. The coffee does not fight the circumstance. It becomes the circumstance and elevates it. Imagine Nelson Mandela in prison. He could have been a carrot, died of grief. He could have been an egg, hated them all and come out full of resentment. But he was a coffee bean. He used the pressure of the prison, the boiling water, to transform his environment. He transformed his jailers. He transformed his country. He transformed the concept of freedom. The water, the prison, was permeated with Mandela. Imagine someone who loses a leg in an accident. If it's coffee, they use that pain to become a Paralympic athlete who inspires millions. The accident, boiling water, becomes the platform for their glory. That is transmutation. It is taking the energy of trauma, lead, and using it as fuel to create a work of art, gold. The physics of transmutation. Nothing is lost. In quantum physics, energy is neither created nor destroyed, only transformed. Pain is energy. It is dense, heavy, high-intensity energy. Most people try to eliminate the pain. They medicate themselves, they distract themselves, they drink alcohol. That is wasting nuclear fuel. The alchemist, the coffee, says, "Give me that pain, it's free energy." When you feel anguish, you have a massive amount of energy circulating through your nervous system. If you use that energy to worry, you create anxiety, carrot. If you repress it, you create resentment, egg. But if you channel it, you create empires. The best songs in the world were written with a broken heart. The largest companies were founded after a frustrating bankruptcy. The best healers are those who were sick and cured themselves. They used the boiling water to make coffee. The gift of the wound, kintsugi. In Japan, there is an art called kintsugi. When a valuable vase breaks, they don't throw it away. They don't try to hide the cracks with invisible glue. On the contrary, they join the pieces with liquid gold. The repaired vase has visible golden scars, and for the Japanese, that vase is more valuable than the new and intact vase. Why? Because it has history. Because it has survived. Because it has been transformed. You are that vase. Your wounds are not defects. They are the cracks where the light enters and where your coffee aroma comes out. Don't want to be perfect and intact. That is for eggs and carrots that have not lived. Be proud of your golden scars. They are the proof that the water boiled and you did not break. You changed the water. How to be coffee, the action protocol. You might wonder, very nice, but I'm in the middle of hell right now. How do I apply this? How am I coffee when I'm burning? Here is the alchemist's manual in 4 steps. Accept the fire, surrender. Stop fighting with reality. Stop saying, this shouldn't be happening. It is happening. The water is at 100 degrees. Accept the situation, not with resignation, but with lucidity. Okay, I am in crisis. The water boils. Ask the pain. Do not ask why, victim question. Ask what for. What aroma does this want to bring out of me? What part of me needs to die, the shell of the bean, so that my essence comes out? Perhaps the loss of your job is the boiling water necessary for you to dare to undertake your dream. Perhaps the romantic breakup is the heat necessary for you to learn to love yourself. Release your aroma, service. Coffee only works when it gives itself to the water. When you are suffering, the best way to transmute pain is to help others. It sounds contradictory. I'm doing poorly. How am I going to help? Do it. If you are alone, help someone even more alone than you. If you are broke, share your little bread. By giving, you change your vibration from lack to abundance. You become the flavor of the water. Service is the fastest alchemical catalyst in existence. Don't stay in the cup. Remember that this is temporary. The water does not boil forever. The coffee is served, enjoyed, and then the cup is washed for the next experience. Do not define yourself by your trauma. You are not the divorcee. You are not the sick person. You are the coffee. The trauma was only the water you used to manifest your flavor. Do not stay and live in the story of pain. Use it and let it go. The illusion of the easy life. Many spiritual seekers believe that if they do everything right, the water will never boil. They believe that vibrating high means a life without problems. That is a childish fantasy. Vibrating high does not mean you don't have problems. It means that when you have problems, you don't become a carrot. Jesus had problems, the cross. Buddha had problems, Gandhi had problems. Their lives were not easy, they were grandiose. Greatness requires friction. The airplane needs air resistance to take off. Without headwind, it doesn't fly. The muscle needs the resistance of the weight to grow. You need the resistance of boiling water to awaken. Chapter 7, The Power of Focus. We live in the attention economy. The world's largest companies, Google, Facebook, Netflix, the news, do not sell products. They buy your attention. They hire the best psychological engineers on the planet with one single objective: to steal your focus. They know that your attention is the most valuable currency in the universe. They know the hermetic secret that you often forget. Where attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, life grows. If they steal your attention, they steal your life. If you spend 4 hours a day focused on the lives of others, on fear, or on the past, you are watering the neighbor's garden and letting your own die of thirst. You are financing others' reality with your own energetic bankruptcy. To explain why you fail to manifest your desires despite wanting them, I have to take you to a university classroom. I have to tell you the lesson an old psychology professor gave his students about the weight of things. The parable of the professor and the glass of water. The auditorium was full. Hundreds of students were waiting for the lesson on stress management. The professor entered. He was an older man with a calm gaze and slow movements. He brought no books. He brought no PowerPoint slides. He only brought a clear glass jar filled halfway with water. He walked to the center of the stage and raised the glass for everyone to see. The students thought, here comes the typical question. Is the glass half full or half empty? They prepared themselves to give the usual philosophical answer, but the professor smiled and asked something different. How much does this glass weigh? The students began to shout answers. 200 grams. 300 grams. It depends on the density of the water. The professor waited for silence and said, the absolute weight doesn't matter. If I put it on a scale, it might weigh 250 grams. But that is irrelevant to my muscles. What matters is, how long do I hold it? The students looked at him confused. The professor continued, if I hold this glass for a minute, nothing happens. It is light. If I hold it for an hour, my arm will begin to ache. The muscle will tense. If I hold it for an entire day, my arm will go numb and become paralyzed. The pain will be unbearable and I will likely drop the glass. He made a dramatic pause, keeping the glass high, and asked, tell me, did the weight of the glass change during that day? Did more water enter the glass? No, responded the students. The glass weighs the same. Exactly, said the professor. The problem is not the object. The problem is the holding time. He lowered the glass and put it on the table. Your worries, your fears, your grudges, and your obsessive thoughts are like this glass of water. If you think about them for a minute, it's normal. We are human. If you think about them for an hour, they begin to hurt. They take away energy, they put you in a bad mood. If you think about them all day, if you go to sleep with them and wake up with them, they paralyze you, they incapacitate you from doing anything else. They drain your vital force until you drop the glass. Nervous breakdown, illness, depression. The professor looked them in the eye and gave the final order. Put down the glass. Decoding the paralysis, mental rumination. This parable destroys the victim's favorite excuse. It's just that my problem is very serious. The professor demonstrates that the gravity of the problem, the weight of the water, is irrelevant. What is killing you is not the debt. It is thinking about the debt 24 hours a day. What is killing you is not your ex. It is checking their profile. What is killing you is not the medical diagnosis. It is mentally living in the funeral ahead of time. This is called rumination. It is chewing the same thought over and over without swallowing and without digesting it. Energetically, this is a disaster. Your brain consumes 20% of your body's energy. But when you are in a loop of worry, rumination, that consumption skyrockets. You are running a mental marathon without moving from your chair. That is why you are exhausted. That is why you have no strength to undertake, to love, or to create. You are spending all your fuel holding the glass. The physics of the laser versus the light bulb. Imagine a 100-watt light bulb. It lights up a room. It gives a soft, diffused, pleasant light. But it has no strength. You cannot cut anything with it. Now imagine a 100-watt laser. It is the same amount of energy, but it is focused on a single point, in a coherent beam. That laser can cut steel. It can perform eye surgery. The majority of people are light bulbs. Their energy is scattered. A little attention on work, a little on WhatsApp, a little on worrying about money, a little on criticizing the government, a little on the dream of traveling. They illuminate their life, but they change nothing. They do not cut the steel of reality. The alchemist, the conscious manifester, is a laser. He takes all that energy and focuses it on one single image, the image of his desire fulfilled. He holds that image with exclusivity, and when attention is concentrated in that way, physical reality begins to heat up, to melt, and to reform. Reality cannot resist sustained focus. The enemy of focus, multitasking and distraction. We live in the era of the glorification of multitasking. They tell you that you are productive if you answer emails while talking on the phone and cooking. That is a lie. That is fracturing your soul. When you divide your attention, you lower your vibration. You become superficial, you become reactive, you become a carrot. But the most dangerous enemy is digital distraction, the infinite scroll. Have you noticed what happens when you enter TikTok or Instagram for just 5 minutes and end up wasting 2 hours? You enter a state of hypnotic trance. Your brain waves drop. Your will turns off. You are programming your subconscious with random trash. You are filling your mind with others' glasses of water. When you come out of that trance, you feel dirty, heavy, and empty. Why? Because you have given away your treasure. You have given away your ability to create in exchange for a little cheap dopamine. The system wants you distracted, because a distracted people does not rebel. The warrior's diet, dopamine fast. If you want to recover your power, you have to declare war on distraction. You have to become a monk in the middle of chaos. I'm not telling you to throw your phone in the river. It is a tool, but I'm telling you to stop being its slave. You need to practice one-way focus. If you are eating, just eat, feel the flavor. If you are talking to someone, look them in the eyes. If you are working on your dream, turn off the world. 1 hour of deep work is worth more than 8 hours of distracted work. And above all, guard your first and last hour. The hour after waking up and the hour before sleeping are sacred. They are the doors to the subconscious. If the first thing you do upon opening your eyes is look at the news or work email, you have lost the day. You have handed your command over to the outside world. If the last thing you do before bed is see violence or drama, you are programming your night for fear. Recover those hours. Use them to hold your own vision. The 3-second rule, putting down the glass. How do you let go of the glass in real life? Because obsessive thought is sticky. It returns even if you don't want it to. I give you an emergency technique, the 3-second rule. When you realize you are holding a glass, worrying about something you cannot solve right now, you have 3 seconds to act before the thought settles in. Detect. I am ruminating. I am holding the glass of fear. 2. Interrupt. Do something physical. Snap your fingers. Shake your head. Stand up. Break the bodily pattern. 3. Substitute. Immediately put in another thought. You cannot leave the mind blank. The monkey will return to the glass. You have to give it another object. Give it a glass of champagne. Think of something you are grateful for. Think of your goal fulfilled. Think of a happy memory. Intrusive thought. What if they fire me? Action, snap. Substitution. Thank you for my ability to generate wealth. I am abundant. At first, you will have to do it 100 times a day. Your mind is a wild horse accustomed to going to the cliff. You have to pull the reins 100 times. But by day 3, the horse will learn. By day 7, the horse will begin to go alone toward the green pastures, positive thoughts. That is mental mastery. The secret of infinite energy. Have you noticed that when you are in love or when you are working on a project that you are passionate about, you are not hungry or sleepy? You have infinite energy. Why? Because your attention is not divided. There are no leaks. Your whole being is aligned in one single direction. Internal friction disappears. The tiredness you feel daily is not physical. It is psychological. It is the result of having the handbrake on, fear, while you accelerate, desire. It is the result of having 20 tabs open in your mental browser. Close the tabs. Stay with one. The tab of your purpose. If you manage to focus your attention on what you want, ignoring what you do not want, you will become a generator of free energy. You will become magnetic. People will want to be near you because you vibrate high. Money will want to be with you. Health will return because you are no longer defending from imaginary tigers. Chapter 8. Judgment and Neutrality. You wake up in the morning and it rains. Your mind immediately says, "What a bad day." A traffic ticket arrives. Your mind screams, "What a misfortune." You are invited to a party. Your mind celebrates, "What good luck." You are fired. Your mind sentences, "This is the end." You live labeling everything. You live with the judge's gavel in your hand, hitting the table of reality every second. passing sentence on every event that occurs. This is good, this is bad, this is fair, this is unfair. And this habit, which seems harmless and natural, is the number one cause of your unnecessary suffering. Because when you label something as bad, your body reacts. Your nervous system enters fight or flight mode. Your cortisol skyrockets. Your vibration drops. You become a carrot, as we saw in Chapter 6. You resist what is, and what you resist persists. But the most dangerous thing is not the suffering. The most dangerous thing is that your judgment is blind. You have no idea what is good or bad in the long run. You are like a spectator who enters the cinema in the middle of the movie, sees a shooting scene and screams, "How horrible!" without knowing that those shots are saving the protagonist. You judge the scene without knowing the full movie, and by judging it you block the plot's development. You prevent the misfortune from transforming into the blessing that was hidden behind it. To teach you to let go of the judge's gavel, to teach you to live in the eye of the hurricane, I have to tell you a story. I have to tell you the story of a man from a rural village in ancient China who understood that luck is just an optical illusion. The parable of the Chinese farmer. In a small village on the borders of China, there lived a very poor old farmer. His only valuable possession, apart from his small hut, was a beautiful white horse. The horse was so magnificent that even the emperor had heard of him and sent his emissaries to buy it. They offered him gold, lands, and titles. But the old man always replied, "This horse is not a possession to me, he is a friend. How can one sell a friend?" The neighbors of the village mocked him. "Foolish old man," they said, "you are poor and you could be rich. That horse will one day die or be stolen, and you will be left with nothing." One morning the old man went to the stable and the horse was not there. He had escaped to the mountains. The neighbors ran to his house and said, "We were right. What bad luck. You were a poor old man with a horse, and now you are just a poor old man. You have lost your only treasure. It is a curse." The old man looked at them calmly and said, "Do not go so fast. Simply say that the horse is not in the stable. That is a fact. Everything else is your judgment. Whether it is a curse or a blessing, who knows? We only see a fragment of the story." Perhaps. The neighbors laughed and left, thinking the old man was crazy. But 15 days later the horse returned. He had not been stolen. He had gone to find a mate. And he did not return alone. He brought with him a herd of 12 wild horses, strong and beautiful. Now the old man had 13 horses. He was, suddenly, a man rich in livestock. The neighbors ran back to his house amazed. "Old man, you were right. It was not a curse. It was a blessing. What good luck you have. Now you can sell the horses and become a millionaire." The old man, maintaining the same calm as when he lost the horse, replied, "Again you go too fast. Simply say that the horse has returned with 12 others. That is a fact. Whether it is good luck or bad luck, who knows? This is only a fragment of the story." Perhaps. The neighbors thought the old man was ungrateful and did not know how to appreciate his fortune. The old man and his only son began to tame the wild horses. A week later, while trying to ride one of the wildest stallions, the farmer's son fell to the ground and the horse stepped on his leg. It broke in 3 places. At that time, without advanced medicine, a broken leg meant a lifelong limp. The young man would no longer be able to work in the field. The old man would have to work alone and would starve. The neighbors came to lament. "What a misfortune! What bad luck! Those horses were a curse in disguise. Now your only son is a cripple and you are ruined in your old age." The old man sighed and said, "You are obsessed with judging. Simply say that my son has broken his leg. Whether it is good or bad, who knows? Life comes in fragments, and we never know what follows." Perhaps. 2 weeks later, the country went to war with a neighboring nation. The emperor sent his officers to the village to recruit all the healthy young men. They took all the boys from the town. The war was brutal, and it was known that most would die at the front. But when they reached the farmer's house, they saw the son with his broken and splintered leg. He was useless for the war. They left him at home. All the neighbors were crying because their sons were marching to a certain death, while the farmer's son was safe in his home. The neighbors, crying, said to the old man, "You were right. The broken leg was a blessing. Our sons are going to die, but yours is alive. What good luck." And the old man once again said, "He perhaps," decoding judgment, the keyhole vision. This story could go on forever. The broken leg could lead to the son becoming a great scholar since he could not work the land. That could lead to him being appointed advisor to the emperor. That could lead to a palace intrigue where he is executed, and so on. The chain of cause and effect is infinite. The problem with the neighbors, and your problem, is that they look at life through the eye of a keyhole. They see a single event, the horse left, and they judge the totality of existence based on that isolated event. This is bad. But the Chinese farmer has a panoramic vision. He has the cosmic humility to admit that he does not see the full picture. He knows that each event is the parent of the next event. He knows that the misfortune of today is the necessary ingredient for the fortune of tomorrow. And he knows that the fortune of today can bring the problems of tomorrow. Therefore, he refuses to apply labels. He refuses to celebrate euphorically and refuses to cry desperately. He stays in the center. He stays in neutrality. And that neutrality is his superpower. The danger of the bad label. When you label something as bad, you do three terrible things against yourself. You generate stress chemistry. Your body does not know how to differentiate between a real lion and a thought of, "This is horrible." You poison yourself with cortisol. You close the door to the solution. If you decide that being fired is a misfortune, you get depressed and fail to see that this was the kick you needed to start your dream business. You become a victim. You surrender your power to the circumstance. You say, "The event has power over me." How many times in your life have you cried over something that years later you were grateful for? That boyfriend, girlfriend who left you when you thought you were dying. Today you look back and say, "Thank God they left. Otherwise I wouldn't have met my current spouse." That job you lost and forced you to move to a city where you were happier. If the universe had shown you the future, you wouldn't have cried. You would have said, "Ah, this hurts now, but it is the bridge to something better. Thank you." Neutrality is that anticipated trust. The danger of the good label. This is less intuitive, but just as important. Why is it dangerous to label something as very good? Because it generates attachment and fear of loss. When the horse returns with 12 others, if the farmer had jumped with joy, he would have created an enormous attachment to those horses. Then when the son broke his leg because of those horses, the farmer would have fallen into a deep depression, feeling betrayed by his own luck. Euphoria is the other extreme of panic. It is a swing of the pendulum. If you go too high with the good, the fall toward the bad will be brutal. The master remains serene in gain and serene in loss. It is not that he does not feel joy. He feels gratitude, but he does not feel the madness of, "This saves my life." Nothing external saves you. You are already safe. The power of perhaps, the master key. The magic word of this chapter is perhaps, or we'll see, or interesting. It is the antidote against the ego. Your ego wants certainty. It wants to define. It wants to close the box. Perhaps leaves the box open. It lets the flow of life run. I invite you to use this word as a shield. When someone comes to tell you, "Look how terrible what happened in the news," you respond mentally or verbally, "Perhaps." When your mind tells you, "I'm never going to recover from this," you respond, "Perhaps." Or perhaps this is the beginning of my best stage. I don't know. We'll see. By using perhaps, you deactivate the struggle. You stop fighting with reality. And when you stop fighting, you begin to float. You become the cork we talked about in Chapter 4. Life carries you. The theory of the gift wrapped in sandpaper. Imagine that life gives you an incredible gift, a diamond. But to protect it on the journey, it wraps it in ugly, dirty, and scratchy paper, sandpaper. You receive the package and shout, "How disgusting, they gave me trash. It scratches my hands." And you throw the package in the trash. You just threw away the diamond because you didn't like the wrapping. Most of your problems are diamonds wrapped in sandpaper. Illness can be the wrapping of the gift of a healthier and more conscious life. Financial crisis can be the wrapping for your future wealth. Judgment makes you throw it away. Neutrality makes you open the package with curiosity, enduring the initial scratch to see what is inside. There is always a gift, always. The universe does not waste energy sending you empty boxes. The weaver's vision. Imagine a giant tapestry. If you look at it from behind, you only see knots, cut threads, chaos, and disorder. It makes no sense. It looks ugly. If you look at it from the front, you see a perfect image, a beautiful landscape. You, in your human life, are looking at the tapestry from behind. You see the knot of divorce. You see the cut thread of death. You see the dark color of pain, and you judge, this tapestry is a disaster. The universe, the weaver, is looking from the front. It knows that dark thread was necessary to give shadow and depth to the landscape. Neutrality is the act of faith of saying, I see knots, but I trust the weaver is making a landscape. I will not judge the work until it is finished, and the work only ends when you die. So, while you are alive, the painting is not complete. Do not judge a half-painted picture. Chapter 9. Invisible Patience, the Law of Bamboo and Hidden Growth. You have arrived at the desert. You have done the internal work. You changed your identity. You stopped being the chicken to become the eagle. You cut the strings of your past. You have begun to shout abundance, love, and health to the mountain of the universe. You have released the nuts of attachment. And you have remained neutral. You have remained neutral without judging before the turbulences of life. You are a master of theory, and yet you open your eyes, look at the ground where you planted your decree, and there is nothing. The ground is flat, dry, empty. A week passes. Nothing. A month passes. Nothing. 3 months pass, and your logical mind begins to scream. Your mind, trained by an impatient society, screams, you have been deceived. This metaphysic stuff is a sham. You are wasting your time. You are a fool watering dead earth. You feel like you are breaking. You feel the temptation to abandon everything, to return to the chicken coop, to accept your mediocre life because it was predictable. The silence of the universe is deafening you. The lack of physical evidence is driving you crazy. Stop. Breathe. You are exactly where you need to be. You are not failing. You are going through the final test of mastery, the test of gestation time. You have forgotten that you are not a machine. You are an organic being in an organic universe. In nature, nothing worth having is created overnight. To understand what is happening beneath the surface of your life, at this moment of apparent stagnation, I have to take you to the ancient forests of Asia. I have to tell you the story of the farmer and the strangest seed in the world. I have to tell you the law of Japanese bamboo. The parable of the Japanese bamboo. Once upon a time there was a humble farmer who lived in a village where everyone grew rice. Rice grew fast, was harvested in a few months, and fed the families. But this farmer had a different vision. He had obtained the seeds of a legendary plant, Japanese bamboo. He knew its wood was the most flexible and resistant in the world. He prepared the best soil, made the furrows carefully, and planted the seed. He watered it. He removed the weeds. He gave it the best fertilizer. The first year passed. The farmer looked at the ground. Absolutely nothing had sprouted. Not a single small green leaf, nothing. His neighbors, who had harvested rice twice, began to mutter. The farmer ignored the murmurs. He continued watering and fertilizing the earth with unwavering faith. The second year passed. Nothing. The ground remained a patch of barren land. The murmurs turned into mockery. Poor fool, they said. He has wasted his best land on a stupid dream. The third year passed. Nothing. The fourth year, nothing. The farmer was exhausted. His family faced hardships. Social pressure was crushing. Every time he went with his bucket of water to water that empty piece of land, he felt the weight of humiliation. His own mind whispered at night, "What if the seed was rotten? What if the neighbors are right?" But every morning he woke up and watered again. The fifth year arrived, and one morning as the sun rose, the farmer saw something incredible. A tiny green sprout, fragile and minuscule, had broken through the surface of the earth. The neighbors came to see it and laughed out loud. So much effort for 5 years for that ridiculous twig. What a failure! But the farmer said nothing. That same afternoon the sprout had grown several centimeters. The next day it was already a meter tall. In a week it surpassed the roof of his hut. In just 6 weeks, that sprout that took 5 years to appear grew to reach the astonishing height of 30 meters. It became an imposing, majestic forest, capable of resisting hurricanes. The neighbors, Speechless and ashamed, asked the farmer, "How is it possible? How can a tree grow 30 meters in only 6 weeks? It's a miracle. It's magic." The farmer smiled, stroked the thick trunk of the bamboo, and replied, "You are blind. The bamboo did not grow in 6 weeks. It took 5 years and 6 weeks to grow." During the first 5 years, it seemed like nothing was happening on the surface. But under the earth, the seed was working desperately. It was building a massive, deep, and strong root system, capable of sustaining the 30-meter height it was going to reach. If it had tried to grow in the first year, the first wind would have toppled it. Visible growth was fast only because its invisible growth was immense. Decoding the law, your invisible roots. This story is not about botany. It is about the laws of quantum manifestation. You are the farmer, and your desire, that wealth, that health, that true love, is the bamboo. When you plant the seed of your desire through your decrees, visualization, and assumption, the seed does not die. It begins to work immediately. But it works in the dark. It works in the subconscious. It works in the invisible web of probabilities. The frustration you feel today is because you are judging the success of your planting by looking exclusively at the surface, your 3D physical reality. And since the surface takes time to change, you believe it is not working. But what is really happening during your 5th year of waiting? The universe is not ignoring you. The universe is forcing you to grow roots. What are those roots? They are your emotional maturity. They are your boundaries. It is your ability to manage rejection. It is your financial education. It is your resilience in the face of fear. The universe is deeply loving, and its love often manifests as a strategic delay. Infinite intelligence knows that if it gives you the 30-meter bamboo, massive success, the perfect relationship, or millions of dollars, today, when your psychological roots are still weak, that weight would crush you. The danger of the rootless tree, premature success. Look around you. The world is full of tragic warnings of people who got the bamboo without having developed the roots. People who win the lottery obtain $10 million overnight, instant bamboo. But since they never developed the roots of financial intelligence, self-worth, and discipline, the weight of the money topples them. In 3 years, they are more broke and depressed than before. The wind broke them. Look at young artists or child stars who reach world fame in a month. They end up broken, addicted, or dead. Their nervous system did not have the roots to withstand the pressure, the ego, and the criticism of public opinion. When you ask for a great miracle, the universe says, "Granted. But first I am going to strengthen you so that you do not die crushed by your own miracle." And then the silence begins. Small failures begin. Delays begin. You think it is bad luck. No. It is the universe forcing you to dig deep. That business that failed last year was the universe giving you a lesson in humility and accounting, growing the root to the left. That toxic relationship you had to flee was the universe teaching you to set boundaries, growing the root to the right. Every pain, every weight, every rejection has been a root expanding in the dark of your soul. Today, perhaps you feel tired, but today you are 1,000 times stronger, wiser, and more dense than you were 2 years ago. Your roots are almost ready. The microwave disease. The great obstacle to applying the law of bamboo is the culture into which you were born. You belong to the generation of the microwave and Amazon Prime. If you are hungry, you put something in the microwave, and in 1 minute you have hot food. If you want a book, you click and it is at your door the next day. Or if you want a partner, you slide a finger on an app and have a date in an hour. Your brain has become addicted to immediacy. You have been trained to believe that if something does not happen fast, it is broken or does not work. But universal laws do not update like mobile apps. God does not have Amazon Prime. The universe operates on an agricultural time frame, not a digital one. You have to detox from haste. Impatience is an insult to the universe. Impatience says, "I do not trust your clock. My clock is better." But your clock is based on fear, fear of aging, fear of staying behind, fear of scarcity. The clock of the universe is based on harmony. Everything arrives at the perfect mathematical instant in which you are ready to receive it, and the world is ready to accommodate it. Not a second before, not a second after. Metaphysical abortion, digging up the seed. Here is where you make the most serious mistake of all. a fatal error that resets the clock and forces you to start from scratch. You fall back into the trap of checking. You plant your decree, I am prosperous. A week passes, and your anxiety wins. You open your bank account obsessively, look at the red numbers and sigh with frustration. Where is my money? It has not arrived yet, I am still poor. Do you know what you just did on an energetic level? You just went to your garden, grabbed a shovel, and dug up the seed to see if it has roots. By digging it up and exposing it to the light of your doubt, you have killed it. The seed needs the darkness of the earth to germinate. If you take it out every 5 minutes to see how it's going, it will never grow. Your complaint, your constant verification of 3D reality to look for proof of your manifestation, is an act of disbelief. Neville Goddard said that once you assume your desire, you must enter the Sabbath, the day of rest. Rest is not sleeping. Rest is a mental state where you no longer work to get your desire, because you know it is already done. Did the farmer dig up his bamboo? No. He watered the apparently empty surface with the absolute certainty that the internal process was occurring. If you keep asking, when will it arrive, and you declare lack. The mountain, the echo from chapter 3 answers you, you do not have it. You have to leave the seed alone. Do your internal work, and then let go of the shovel. Go live your life. Let the darkness of the earth do its inscrutable magic. Active patience, preparing the room. People confuse patience with passivity. They think being patient is sitting on a sofa, crossing their arms, and looking at the ceiling waiting for a briefcase of money to fall down the chimney. That is not patience. That is laziness and childish magical thinking. The patience of the initiate is an active patience. It is the patience of the pregnant woman. When a woman finds out she is pregnant, she knows the baby will take 9 months to arrive. Does she sit and cry in month 3 because the baby is not there yet? No. She knows the law of gestation. She understands there is a biological evolution in process, but she does not cross her arms either. What does she do during those months of waiting? She paints the room, she buys small clothes, she learns about motherhood. She adapts her house and her body for the arrival of that new life. She acts based on the certainty of the end. That is the master key. If you have decreed you will be a successful entrepreneur, do not sit and wait for money to come from nowhere. Use your gestation time to prepare, study, improve your skills, design the logo, set up the tax structure. Begin to behave today like the person who is going to receive that miracle tomorrow. If you have decreed that you will find the love of your life, clean your closet. Leave space in your house, heal your past traumas, treat yourself with the respect with which you want to be treated. Active patience sends a devastating signal to the universe. I trust so much that this is on its way, that I am already making room for it. That attitude accelerates time. It is the water and fertilizer that the farmer put on the empty earth. For the neighbors, he was watering dust. For him, he was hydrating the future. Ignore the neighborhood mockery. Protect your vision. Remember the farmer's neighbors. They mocked him for 5 long years. They called him crazy. Your neighbors, your family, your realistic friends, society, will do the same to you. When you declare your new vision of the world, when you stop complaining, when you start acting like someone abundant while being broke, they will pity you. Poor thing, he has gone crazy. He is listening to weird audios. He thinks he is a millionaire and doesn't even have rent money. Those voices are the most dangerous because they resonate with the hidden doubts of your own ego. This is where you must apply a ruthless mental block. Do not argue with them. Do not try to explain the law of assumption or quantum physics or the law of bamboo. They will not understand. They are operating on the frequency of rice. They want the fast, the safe, and the small. Leave them with their rice. You close your mouth. Being silent is one of the 4 pillars of Hermeticism. Protect your seed from the poison of others' cynicism. Your vision is sacred and fragile. Do not expose it to those who do not have the imagination to see it. Smile at them, nod, and return to your field to water in silence. Your revenge will not be shouting your truth today. Your revenge will be your deafening success tomorrow. When your bamboo grows 30 meters in 6 weeks, they will come to ask you, how did you do it? And then, only then, can you smile and tell them, it took me 5 years to do it. Trust in the turning point. A day will come, a day that will begin like any other. You will wake up, wash your face, drink your coffee. There will be no angelic background music or trumpets from heaven. You will be on the verge of giving up once more. But then the phone will ring, or you will open an email, or you will turn a corner. And you will see the small green sprout breaking the earth. From that millisecond, physical reality will collapse in your favor with a violence and speed that will leave you breathless. Doors that were closed for years will be kicked open. People who ignored you will seek you out. Money will flow through paths you did not even know existed. What takes others decades to build, you will manifest in a matter of weeks. It will be the explosive growth of the 5th year. And when you are at the top of those 30 meters, feeling the wind on your face, you will look down and understand everything. You will understand why the universe made you wait. You will understand why that door closed in your face in year 2. If it had opened, you would not have grown the root of perseverance. You will understand why you went through that crisis of loneliness in year 3. You will look at your past life with immense gratitude. You will see that the delay was, in reality, a layer of protection. The universe loved you too much to give you success before you were ready to sustain it. Chapter 10. The Illusion of Separation. You awakened the eagle and left the chicken coop of collective hypnosis. You broke the elephant's rope and freed yourself from the past. You learned to shout your new identity to the mountain of the universe, mastering the echo of reality. You opened the monkey's fist, releasing the nuts of attachment. You recognized your value, taking your watch out of the pawn shop to bring it to the museum of your tribe. You became coffee, transmuting the boiling water of pain into your greatest masterpiece. You sharpened your mind like a laser, letting go of the glass of water of rumination and distraction. You let go of the judge's gavel, sitting with the Chinese farmer in the absolute peace of neutrality. And you planted your seed, waiting with the fierce and underground patience of Japanese bamboo. Look at yourself. You are no longer the person who started listening to this audio. You have control. You have the tools. You are a master of the game of life. But there is one last veil. There is one last lie. The oldest, deepest, and most painful of all, that still breathes within you. It is the lie that generates all your fears, from the fear of poverty to the absolute terror of death. It is the illusion of separation. You look at your body, touch your skin, and say, "I end here, my skin is my border." You look at the world around you, look at other human beings, look at the sky, the trees, the stars, and say, "That is the universe. That is outside. I am inside." You believe you are an isolated entity, floating in a cold, hostile, and indifferent space. You believe you are a biological accident that has to constantly defend itself from the outside. This belief of being separate is the mother of all human anguish. If you are separate, you can be hurt. If you are separate, you have to compete. If you are separate, one day your body will shut down and you will supposedly cease to exist. You will be erased from the blackboard of the cosmos. That is the domain of the ego. The ego is not arrogance. The ego is simply the idea that you are you and everything else is everything else. To cross the last door of awakening, to annihilate fear at its root and truly become a force of nature, we have to destroy that border. We have to dissolve the line between you and the all. And to do so, I have to tell you the most beautiful, poetic, and terrifying story ever written about the destiny of the human soul. I have to take you to the shore of the infinite sea. Listen carefully to the parable of the salt doll. The parable of the salt doll. Once upon a time, there was a doll made entirely of salt. She had been born in the arid steppes of the continent's interior, far, far away from any body of water. All she knew was dry earth, dust, rocks, and hot wind. One day, an inexplicable impulse, a deep and instinctive longing awakened inside her. She felt she was missing something. She felt her home was not on the dry land. So she began to walk. She walked for months, crossing deserts, valleys, and mountains. She overcame sandstorms and frozen nights. She was exhausted, but something pushed her to keep going toward the east. Finally, after an endless journey, she reached the edge of a cliff. And there, for the first time in her life, she saw something that her mind of salt could not comprehend. She saw the ocean. a blue immensity, roaring, alive, in constant motion, extending as far as the eye could see, and merging with the sky on the horizon. The doll froze. The sound of the waves breaking against the rocks filled her with awe. It bordered on terror, but also on a strange familiarity. She slowly descended the cliff until she reached the beach of wet sand. She approached the shore, where the water gently licked the earth. Fascinated and frightened, the salt doll asked the immense ocean, "Who are you?" The ocean, with its voice of thunder and foam, replied, "I am the sea, and I have been waiting for you." The doll, confused, asked again, "But what exactly are you? I don't understand you. I had never seen anything like you." The ocean smiled with the tide and murmured, "Words will not help you understand me. If you really want to know who I am, then come in and see for yourself." The salt doll took a step back. Terror invaded her. "If I go in there," she thought, "I will get wet. And if I get wet, I will fall apart. My form, my arms of salt, my legs of salt, my face, everything will disappear. I will cease to exist. I will die." The panic of the ego grabbed her by the throat. She wanted to turn around and return to the desert, to her small, dry life, but safe and known. There, at least, she knew who she was. There she had her clear limits. But the longing inside her was stronger than her terror. The sound of the sea was a hypnotic call, the lullaby of her own origin. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and took a step toward the water. The water covered her feet of salt. Instantly she felt a sharp pain, but also an indescribable pleasure. Her feet began to dissolve. "Oh," exclaimed the doll, "I am losing myself. I am coming to an end." And she asked the water that reached her ankles, "Tell me, please, who are you?" The sea replied, "Come in a little further." The doll took another step. The water reached her knees, then her waist. As she moved forward, her solid body fell apart. Her form was erased. Her legs were no longer there, but strangely, she did not feel that she had lost anything. She felt she was expanding. The salt she was made of, which had always been confined in that small, rigid body, was now mixing with the currents of the entire ocean. She took another step. The water reached her chest, to her shoulders. "Tell me who you are," she pleaded for the last time, while her face began to merge with the waves. The sea embraced her completely, and at the exact instant, the last grain of salt from her forehead dissolved into the immensity of the water. The doll was no longer a doll. She had lost her form, yes. She had died as a separate entity. But at that precise moment of annihilation, her consciousness did not turn off. It became infinite. And as she became the wave, the tide, the dark depth, and the white foam, the doll, who was now the sea, exclaimed with a joy that shook the universe, "Now I know who I am. I am the ocean." Decoding the parable, the death of the border. This parable is the map of enlightenment. It is the last great truth of Hermeticism, Taoism, Buddhism, and the mystical teachings of Christ. You are the salt doll. You have spent your whole life believing you are that form. You identify with your name, your age, your nationality, your profession, your family history, your scars. You say, "I am John. I am an architect. I am the one who was abandoned. I am the one who suffers." That is your form of salt. It is your ego. But the salt you are made of, the substance that animates you, the pure consciousness that allows you to say, "I am," that consciousness does not belong to you. It is not trapped inside your skull. That consciousness is the ocean. It is the infinite intelligence. It is God. It is the quantum field. The name does not matter. The tragedy is that, like the doll in the desert, you have forgotten what you are made of. You are terrified of letting go of your identity, because you believe that if you stop being John the worried architect, you will cease to exist. You are terrified of physical death, because you believe that when the body, the salt, dissolves, you will disappear into nothingness. But physics and spirituality join hands here to give you the most glorious news of your existence. You cannot die because you were never born as an individual. You are not a drop of water trying to survive, quoting the great mystical poet Rumi. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. When the body shuts down, when the salt dissolves, you do not go to a distant heaven nor fall into eternal darkness. You simply expand. You recover your cosmic memory. You realize that you were the entire galaxy, having the temporary experience of being a primate walking on a blue planet. The fear of death is only the doll's fear of losing her limiting form. Once you understand that your true identity is the water, the dissolution of the salt is no longer a tragedy, it is a homecoming, the challenge of living as the ocean on Earth. But here arises the great paradox of the initiate. You are still alive, you still have a body. You are still a salt doll walking through the desert of society. You do not have to wait to die to experience the ocean. You can live with oceanic consciousness while maintaining your form of salt. This is what masters call being in the world, but not of the world. How does your life change when you awaken to the illusion of separation? Absolutely everything. Starting with the way you see others. If you and I are made of the same ocean, if there is no real separation in the quantum field, then the other does not exist. The person who cut you off in traffic is not an enemy. It is another salt doll made of the same water as you, but who has forgotten their origin and is acting from the fear of the ego. The beggar on the street is you in another circumstance. The billionaire in his mansion is you in another game. Therefore, the commandment to love your neighbor as yourself is not a boring moral rule religion gave you to make you behave. It is a quantum physics formula. Love your neighbor as yourself because your neighbor is yourself. Any harm you do to another, you do to yourself. Any grudge you hold toward another is poison you are injecting into your own nervous system. If you hit a mirror, you do not break the enemy you see reflected. You cut your knuckles. The illusion of separation makes you believe you can win at the expense of another losing. Awakening makes you understand that if the entire network does not rise, you do not truly rise. Unconditional love is not an act of holiness. It is an act of supreme intelligence. It is understanding the real anatomy of the universe. The disappearance of the fear of failure. When you understand that you are the ocean, the game of life changes tone. It is no longer a death struggle for survival. It becomes a dance. It becomes a joyful experiment. If you are the ocean, what does it matter if the salt doll trips? What does it matter if you bankrupt a business? What does it matter if someone rejects you? Those are experiences of the salt. Salt can be scratched, it can break, it can fail. But water, the essence of what you are, cannot be cut, cannot be burned, cannot be humiliated, cannot break. You are impregnable. When you operate from this certainty, you become the most dangerous and unstoppable person in the room. Because someone who is not afraid to lose their ego is someone who cannot be manipulated. The system, the matrix, controls you by threatening your salt doll. If you don't do this, we will take away your prestige. We will take away your money. We will leave you alone. But if you know you are the ocean, you look at the system and laugh. You can take all my salt. You can destroy my reputation. You can empty my bank account. But you cannot touch a single atom of what I really am. That is true sovereignty. Walking through the world knowing you are not a character in the movie. You are the screen on which the movie is projected. The movie can be horror or comedy, but the screen is never stained with blood nor dies of laughter. The screen simply is. The dissolution of exhausting effort. In the previous chapters, we talked about manifesting, decreeing, and focusing. All that is valid at the level of mental laws. But at this supreme level, at the level of the ocean, even manifestation relaxes. You no longer manifest from the desperation of the ego that says, I have to achieve this to be someone. Now you manifest from the joy of God playing at creating. The river does not strive to reach the sea. The river simply flows because its nature is water. When you align with the truth that we are all one, life ceases to be a constant rowing against the current. You let go of the oars, you lie down in the boat, and you let the river of existence carry you. Lao Tzu called it Wu Wei, action without action. It is acting without resistance. You do your work, love your family, paint your picture, build your company, but you no longer do it sweating blood. You do it because it is your nature to express beauty and abundance. In the same way that the nature of the apple tree is to give apples. The apple tree does not stress over giving apples. It simply lets the sap flow. You are the universe experiencing itself as a human being. You are the eyes through which the cosmos sees its own beauty. You are the ears through which God hears the music. Your only real obligation in this life is to wonder. It is to get yourself out of the way and let the immensity express itself through your hands. The challenge of the chapter, The Last Veil. This is your final challenge in our navigation map. It is a practice for a lifetime. It is called the Dissolution Meditation. Tomorrow, when you go out into the street, when you enter your office, when you go on public transport, look at the people around you. Look at the person who serves you at the cafe. Look at the stranger walking with their head down. Look at the person who irritates you deeply. And mentally, in absolute silence, repeat this ancient Sanskrit phrase, Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. Tell yourself, that tired man is me in another body. That angry woman is me under another circumstance. That tree, that sky, that bird is me vibrating at another frequency. Play at dissolving the limits. Feel how the armor on your chest, that constant defense you carry in case someone attacks you, begins to relax. You do not need to defend yourself from the world because you are the world. When someone criticizes you, instead of jumping to defend your salt doll, smile internally and think, it is the ocean making waves. It's okay. When someone triumphs, instead of feeling envy, rejoice authentically because their triumph is your triumph. The entire ocean tide rises. This practice, if you maintain it, will give you a peace so deep, so unshakable, that people will turn to look at you on the street. You will emanate a magnetic frequency of absolute love. You will become a walking sanctuary. Conclusion, the golden ticket. Silence returns to the room. The transmission is about to end. You have heard the 10 lessons. You have received the complete escape map. I have handed you, one by one, the 10 keys that open the locks of your mind. You woke up from the hypnosis of the chicken coop because you remembered that your nature is that of an eagle. You broke the illusory rope of the elephant, understanding that your past no longer has power over your current strength. You learn to change your assumption so that the mountain returns an echo of abundance and not of fear. You opened the monkey's fist, letting go of the desperate need that kept you trapped in the trap of attachment. You took your watch out of the pawn shop and decided that you will only surround yourself with the tribe that knows how to value your masterpiece in the museum. You chose to stop being a carrot or an egg to become the coffee that will transmute any pain into your greatest victory. You let go of the glass of water of constant worry, focusing your attention like a laser toward your purpose. You put away the judge's gavel alongside the Chinese farmer, accepting that you do not know the end of the movie and embracing the power of perhaps. You decided to water your land with the active patience of the Japanese bamboo, trusting in the invisible growth of your roots. And finally, you walked toward the sea like the salt doll, losing the terror of disappearing, because you discovered that you were always the entire ocean. But listen to me closely, because this is the most dangerous moment of the entire audiobook. Information alone is just noise, it is spiritual entertainment. If you close this video, sigh and say, what beautiful stories, only to return tomorrow morning to complaining about traffic, doubting your worth, begging for love, and reacting with terror toward the world, then you have understood absolutely nothing. You will have committed the worst of crimes, spiritual gluttony. You have eaten the knowledge, but you refuse to digest it. To know and not to do is worse than not knowing. Ignorance was a cell with the door locked. Today I have just given you the key and the door is wide open. If you decide to stay inside the cell, slavery is no longer the system's fault. It is your own choice. I have given you the golden ticket, but you are the one who must have the courage to board the train. The matrix counts on your laziness. The system counts on the gravity of daily routine to drag you back into deep sleep as soon as this screen turns off. Your old mind, frightened, will whisper in your ear, that only works in fairy tales, reality is harsh. That is your final test, the test of application. The universe has already spoken to you through this message. It has moved invisible threads so that you would reach this exact minute. Now, it is your turn to respond with actions. I want you to leave an anchor right here, a physical proof of your commitment for your subconscious to read. Go to the comments right now and answer me this. Which of the 10 parables resonated most strongly with your soul today? And what are you going to be from this moment on in the face of crisis? Carrot, egg, or coffee? Writing it is your first decree. It is your first action in the material world to tell the universe that you have received the message and are ready for change. And if this knowledge lit a fire within you, do not be selfish with the light. Share it. Send this audio to that person you know is also an eagle trapped in a pen, to that friend who needs to find their soul tribe. Help awaken others, because when the ocean level rises, all boats rise together. Subscribe if you are ready to continue training your consciousness and not fall back asleep. Because this channel is the museum, and here we only gather those who are ready to shine. The game has changed for you. You are no longer the victim of a blind fate. You are the architect of your reality. Go out there and change the water of your environment. Break the rope, open your wings, and I will see you in the mirror of reality.